times, they are changing. We're living longer and maturing later, but there's still cultural pressure, especially on women, to find a partner and marry in our 20s.
True. Two local professors say it's better to wait until after you turn 30 to get married. They're writing a book about it, and you can help. That's the best part about it. Felena Hanson and Chris Williams are here to tell us about 30 reasons not to marry before you're 30.
Welcome. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
All right, let's begin. Why did you pick up this topic? You've both been married. You both married in your early 20s. And what happened?
Yep. Well,
what happens to most people that get married in their early 20s.
Exactly.
Didn't last.
Yeah.
Didn't
So
last.
how old were you when you got married?
I was 24, and as I approached and turned 30, I saw a lot of my 30-something girlfriends, many of them live in Southern California, really start to feel a lot of pressure that they weren't married by the time they turned 30, and almost started to, you know, do some interesting things. So,
out of desperation?
Absolutely. And so, really, as I'm going through my divorce and I see my girlfriends, you know, really with this mounting pressure, I started to look at, wait, you're the smart ones. Now you know who you are. You've got your life goals. You've become financially independent. You're now a better match to find a life partner. So,
because we change a lot between our 20s and our 30s. What are some of the biggest ways?
What's your story, Chris? Tell us what's going on here. How old were you when you got married?
Actually, I was married when I was 25, and the one thing I really kind of realized was, after the marriage was over, was that when you fall in love with somebody, you kind of end up falling in love with yourself. It's wonderful. You know, falling in love is one of the greatest things in the world. Right. You know, and it's a great high. But you always fall in love with somebody that makes you feel good, and they make you feel good about yourself. So in a sense, it's almost kind of more of an egotistical sort of a trip.
Sure, they're paying attention to you.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, the flowers, the dates, the sex, you know, the whole thing. I mean, you know, the being together, and it's like, God, they really want, somebody really likes me, you know.
Right. And then there's the pressure. Well, don't lose that guy. He's a good one. Or that guy's a good one, you know. So, yeah.
But that euphoria doesn't last.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. The euphoria is just like, you know, any drug or anything. It's just not going to last. Once the high comes down, and you start to deal with the person as an individual, and then the dynamics start to take place between two individuals who maybe have different goals and different ideals, and it's kind of like, you know, I mean, when I was first dating my wife, the last thing in the world I would have done was, you know, burped in front of her.
Right.
And then after a while, you know,
you got to burp.
Hey, yeah, I got to burp
and scratch.
What you're saying here is, if I'm reading this right, is marry someone you don't like so that you don't have to worry about that obstacle later on. Because I didn't like you anyway.
Exactly.
No, really, really it is. It's just, we really looked at it. I started to do some research, and, you know, in seeing a lot of my girlfriends go through this pressure, there's no one that had written a book addressing this. All the
but
books,
everyone was talking about it, weren't
everybody was talking about it, and all the books are written from a point of desperation, how to get a guy after you're 30. And we know that, you know, we're living longer, we can have babies later, it takes us longer to mature. There's so many reasons to figure out who you are and then marry.
Well, your book is 30 Reasons Not to Marry, but we have a list of 10 from that 30 that...
Is the book written, or are you writing?
We are writing.
So you're looking for
We're looking for
Tell
input.
us what you're looking for before we go through the list.
Sure, absolutely. So written from both a male and female perspective, because I think that's important, but we're also weaving in stories from, we have over 250 stories so far. Our goal is to get more before we finish the book, so we can really get input from your audience, and to really tell us, you know, what their experiences have been, good and bad, and we're really pulling that into the book as well.
And they can be included in the book.
Absolutely.
In the book.
Absolutely.
Let's go to the board with the 10 reasons not to get married. Oh, we don't have the board. Okay, well, let's talk about some of the reasons, some of the top reasons why people shouldn't get married before the age 30. Give us a laundry list.
I want to throw one in, and that is, actually, it's an article I just read in the paper the other day, but there was a study that was done on couples that have been in relationships for longer than 5 years. And the conclusion of the study was, I forget how many people were involved. It was considerable numbers. I can't remember the exact number, but the conclusion was that people that were in unhealthy relationships had a much higher incidence of heart disease and stroke. And then they related that to the stress that's involved,
just
the daily stress. Yes,
yeah,
it was in the San Diego Union.
So you live longer. Number one reason why not to get married.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a relationship that's dysfunctional, and you know it's like if you're walking on eggs all the time, I mean, you're tense.
Bad for your health.
You know, you're emotionally spent most of the time, and that takes a toll on you physiologically, too.
What are some other reasons you've learned?
Sure. Obviously, just knowing who you are, that's the biggest number one thing. Know who you are, know who what your life goals are, You know, to Chris's point, we're living longer, we're engaging in deeper levels of understanding. It takes us longer to get through school, to become financially independent. And again, it really ties back to figure that all out before you make a lifelong decision.
All right, so if someone has a story, how do they get it to you?
Sure.
How does this work?
30reasons.com.
30reasons.com. That's easy enough. Plus, we'll have it on our website, too, for those who can't remember.
She made it up
30
for me
the
'cause I
number or
can
written
remember
out?
it.
Is it 30 the number or 30 written out?
30 the number.
30reasons.com.
30reasons.com.
You can tell your story.
When
And
do
they
you
can do
hope
it
to-
anonymously? Can they just, like...
Anonymously, yes, absolutely.
But give a contact name so they can call you to confirm.
When do you hope to have this published?
We're looking early next year to start, looking at publishers and getting all that nailed down. So it'd probably be about another year from now. But we still have time for more input.
You would not want to include Joe nor myself in your book because
Why is that?
I
Well,
was
my
married
first-
at 23.
My first wife was 21.
And my husband was
We're
24.
still married, so she's still the first wife.
And I've been married 21 years. So, and you've been married.
Great.
19.
But see, those are good stories,
Yeah,
though,
so
because we can always use those to contrast, the stories that we get from other women,
Right.
Especially who have the exact opposite, that say, God, I changed so much from the time I was 24 to when I was 30. If I would have known when I was...
If you change our names, we might
Well,
contribute.
here's what I noticed that I did change a lot, but I changed right back again. So I'm on my second lap.
That's awesome.
Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank
Good
you
luck
very
with the
much.
book. It
Thanks very
sounds
much.
really an interesting project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty.